Let me say this plainly. If you are waiting till April to file your taxes, or if you're waiting until April to even thinking about taxes, or if April is just the first time you even seeing the word tax, then you're already paying more money than you need to. So, welcome to today's Tax Tuesday. This is our Tax Therapy Tuesday, and on Tuesdays, I'm giving you a tax tip, something to help you in your business, something to help you in your personal life, so that the IRS, listen, so that the IRS don't take more money from you than you need. And if you're new to me, I am Chastity Grady, and at my company, Grady Tax Plus, it is my number one goal to make sure that we are keeping the IRS out of your pockets so that you can live a better life. Why? Because you deserve it. My background is as a licensed clinical social worker, making me the go to professional for those of you who are social workers and therapists in business. And if that is you, then go ahead and join our Facebook community. You can see that in the description right there of this video, social workers and therapists in business. Listen, in that group, I'm going to be doing something I've never done before. Okay, at least never done for free. And that is, I am actually going to be giving y'all, because y'all been asking for it. And one of my bookkeeping, my 90-day bookkeeping sorry, let me say it right, 90-day bookkeeping boot camp. Sorry, lots of books and stuff going on. She had told me, she was like, listen, Chastity, we need this. Okay, so I am actually going to be breaking down marketing for y'all from a business standpoint, right? Because I want you to be financially successful in business. And part of that includes you knowing how to make money in your business, how to get clients. So I'm going to be breaking it down for y'all in the group, in the social workers and therapists Facebook community. So if you're not in there, you're going to want to get in there ASAP, okay? You're going to want to get in there ASAP. Okay, so let's go ahead and get with the live. So tax therapy Tuesday, right? This topic is about why waiting until April to think about taxes is already costing you more money. And we don't want that, right? We said we want to keep the IRS out of our pockets so we can live the life that we deserve to live, right? And so when it comes to taxes, taxes, it's not just about filing a tax return. Taxes has to do with planning, right? And that planning, it doesn't happen until April. And that's what I see. Oftentimes I see that when April comes around, that's when you're like, okay, now let's, prepare to do my taxes. Now let me think about, and listen, you're already too late. You're already too late, right? And that's the thing. I know oftentimes we don't look into planning ahead, right? Whatever happened to planning ahead, right? There is nothing wrong with planning ahead, right? Planning, people who plan ahead, you are the most successful. Those are the most successful people. People who plan ahead are the most successful people. And it's, having tax issues or anything like that, that is not exempt. When you plan ahead, you are able to win, right? You are able to win. So I'm going to give y'all some points as to why wait until April is costing you money and what to do about it, right? What to do about it. Because I know most of y'all, we're almost out of January. Listen, this is our last week in January, and you're probably busy. Some of you are even overwhelmed, and some of you are probably just hoping that this year won't be as bad as last year. But let me tell you today, hoping is not a tax strategy. You hoping that you get a refund, or you hoping that you don't owe the IRS, that's not a tax strategy, right? Having a tax strategy in place, that involves planning. Like, you should already know whether or not you're gonna owe the IRS before you even file. You should know about ballpark. You should already know, right? And you should already also know what to do if you do owe the IRS, what plans you have in place. Okay. So April is just a deadline. It's not the month that we start making decisions. Okay. April is just the deadline. That's just the deadline to file your personal tax return. That's not a decision making month. That's not the month that you decide to start doing things. So let's talk about the points. Let me talk to you about a couple points of why wait until April to file your taxes, to think about taxes, is costing you money. All right, so here we go. So point number one is that you lose out on those planning opportunities. So I just told you how tax strategies, those are things that you plan ahead. And when you wait until April, you are missing out on a lot of tax strategies because most of them are already off the table, right? Most of them are already off the table. You can't go and spend money by, December 31st in order to have an additional tax write off if the calendar is already in April, right? If we're already in a new year, you have missed out on the opportunity to invest in some programs or to gain additional expenses to help you offset some of the income. That way in 2026, for example, this year, the things that you invested in, you could start actually participating in those programs versus investing in those programs now and then participating in those programs now, right? So prepaying some of your expenses. Some of the tax strategies become off the table. So, for example, if you are someone from the personal side, let's say you have childcare and you're hoping to be able to have a credit for your childcare. Well, hey, you got to make those payments by December 31st for it to count as a payment for that tax year, because the childcare agency, they're going to give you a document in order, and it's going to show what you pay for that year. And so if that year is already passed, then you missed out on making an additional payment, or prepaying January's payment, or whatever you could have done to add more expenses. Another thing, now I will say, now not all tax strategies are off the table, but there are some that are. And another one I want to talk to y'all about, and when it comes to charity, with you from a personal standpoint, if you tithe, if you give offerings to 501c3s, or you contribute to eligible charity places where you can write that off on your taxes, all of that has to be done by December 31st. All of that has to be done by December 31st, because those statements they're going to give you, it's going to have payments for that calendar year, and you can't include something again on the calendar year that wasn't there before, right? So that's another thing. Now, there are a couple planning opportunities that you still can do. One of them being retirement. Okay, we don't talk about retirement enough. I feel like retirement is one of the underrated tax strategies that people for some reason don't want to use, or you wait until you're in your 60s to start thinking about, oh, I don't have any retirement. Yeah, you should have thought about that in your 30s, in your 20s, right? And even in your 40s, right? And so, in when it comes to traditional IRAs, you can still contribute to those up until April. You can still do that. And then, even if you, so as a business owner, if you have a SEP IRA, a simple IRA, you can contribute up until October 15th, as long as your tax return is on an extension. Yeah, that's a tax strategy that most people don't realize or don't even use, because, like I said, most people are not thinking about retirement. But one of the things that I love from my clients is that even if you don't have the money, let's say you want to contribute $20,000 to your SEP IRA so that it can be included on your 2025 tax return. Well, guess what? If you don't have that 25 or that $20,000, you can go make that $20,000 now, so you can contribute this year's money for last year's, for the last tax year, right? That is a planning opportunity that's not completely off the table, but you do have to have your tax return on an extension by April 15th, though, in order to take advantage of that as a business owner. Okay, so that's that. Another point I want to make when it comes to why waiting until April is costing you money is that you overpay if your numbers are all over the place. By numbers, I mean you got messy bookkeeping, and you didn't keep up with your income and expenses. They're not clearly tracked. And the reason being is because you end up missing out on deductions, right? That you did not pay attention to, that because you're trying to scramble to the last minute, so you start compromising. Oh, that's what I see happens to a lot of people. You start compromising when you're waiting until the last minute to file your taxes. You're like, oh no, just we can just take that off, or don't worry about that. Yeah, I was using my car for business, but I didn't have mileage, so I don't feel like doing that. You start compromising when you're in that crunch time of April, when you should be keeping track of that all year throughout the year, so that when tax time comes, you're stress free. You're just listen, you're just ready to just see the outcome. You're just ready to see if what you did the year before, if it actually panned out on the tax return, right? That's how it truly should be, right? So when your bookkeeping is all over the place, it's all messy. You miss out on deductions, and then maybe your income even looks higher than what it should be. By income, I mean your net income. I mean your revenue is going to be what it is, but maybe your net income is going to look higher because you did not have those deductions. You're missing out on deductions. You didn't keep track. If you were co-mingling, right? If you are co-mingling your funds, meaning you're using your personal account for a business, then that could also prevent you from getting your deductions because now we have another account to look at. We got another account to consider. And it's just, and sometimes, again, when you're in crunch time, you're like, just forget it. I'll just take a loss because I don't want to go through all of that. Again, that's how you end up overpaying. That's how you end up costing you more money. That's how you end up putting more money into the IRS pockets when you do that, right? So again, point number one, you lose out on planning opportunities when you're waiting until April. Point number two, you overpay when your bookkeeping is not good, right? When you don't have your income and expenses organized or not tracked, right? And you have to look at this. The IRS, they tax you on what you report. Did you know that? The IRS is taxing you on what you report. So if you report that your net profit is a certain number, they're going to tax you on that. And if that number is supposed to be lower, then do what you're supposed to do to make sure that you are accounting for all the things that you're supposed to account for, right? Listen, I'm making it sound so simple, but many of you make it seem so complex, and it's really not. It's really not. Okay. Another point I want to make is that, like I already kind of mentioned this, you get stuck in reaction mode, right? You're panicking, you're panic filing. By panic filing, you're just like trying to hurry up and file, panic doing extensions, panic making payments. Everything is just a panic mode, right? You're reacting to everything, right? Again, this is Tax Therapy Tuesday. We're talking about it, right? You're reacting to the circumstances when it doesn't have to be that way. And I know you say, next year I'm gonna do better. Next year I'm gonna do better. But when is that year going to come up for you that you actually do better? Right? That you actually do better. What is it gonna be this year? Right? I mean, how many times are you gonna say next year is gonna be your year without it not actually being your year? How many times are you gonna say that? And so listen, that's why we can't wait to the last minute. We can't wait to the last minute. As of January, as of today, you should start looking at your income and expenses right now for the month of January that you're already spending and making money in. You should be tracking that. If you use your car for business, you should be tracking that right now, not waiting until a couple months from now, then looking back on what you did in January. Listen, we halfway remember what we did last week. So, how are you going to remember anything that you've done over a month ago, over 2 months ago, over 3 months ago? It's really not possible unless you have like really good memory. It's really not possible for you to remember any of the stuff that you've done a month ago, 2 months ago, let alone a whole year. Today I had an appointment, a client appointment with my bookkeeping client, and we're actually going back to her 2024 tax year because there was some. Listen, long story short, whoever did it, they didn't do it right, and so we are actually doing her bookkeeping over again for 2024 so that we can amend her 2024 tax return. And listen, we're going back. I'm asking her questions about, hey, this person said that it was this. Is this really that? Is this personal? Is this business? Why did you do that? Why did you spend this money? Did you keep inventory? Listen, like I said, we can barely remember what we did last week. Can barely remember what you ate for breakfast yesterday unless you eat the same thing every day. And just imagine having to go back 2 years from now trying to remember what it is that what you've done, right? In 2 years. It's difficult. Luckily, the person who I'm working with, she understood that she was gonna need to go back at some point, so she was prepared to answer my questions. But that's not everybody. That's not everybody. That's why you gotta track everything now. That's why you can't procrastinate this year, right? And so this is what I'm gonna do for y'all. I'm gonna leave because I keep breaking up, keeping track of your income, keeping track of your expenses. And for some of you, you're like, but how do I even do that? What resources do you have in order for me to keep track of these things, right? And so I do have a business finance tracker that you can use. It's only $37. And you can actually keep track of your income on one tab and then your expenses on another tab. But not just keeping track of it, you're actually able to categorize, right? This is what's important when it comes to filing your taxes. It's not enough to just list out the things that you're doing. You actually need to know why you spent what you spent, right? The IRS wants to know why you spent what you spent. Was it for advertising? Was it for office expenses? Was it for professional fees? Like what, why did you spend this money? Every dollar has to go into different buckets. They have to go into different hats. And those hats are called categories, right? And so you have to categorize, okay, I bought this and that was office supplies. I bought that and that was computer software. I bought, like, this spreadsheet allows you to do that. And it's perfect for you if you are not yet ready to get a bookkeeping software. Ideally, that's where you want to go with, so that you don't have to change it later. I always recommend, no matter how much you're making in your business, you should be in a bookkeeping software, right? Because guess what? When we stay ready, we don't have to worry about getting ready. Right? When we stay ready, when we have our business finances organized from the very beginning in the bookkeeping software, and not limiting ourselves to being like, oh, when I start making this amount, then I'll get that, then I'll get that. No, those, you putting limitations on that. You're putting limitations on your growth. How about you, because you know your business is going to do six whatever figures, because you know that, you make the decisions to go ahead and operate your business legally, and you have those separate bank accounts, and you have the bookkeeping software already, right? That you already have these things in place. So when your business blows up, so when your practice blows up, so that when you are actually doing the thing that you've been called to do, and you're reaping the benefits of that financially, you are in position, right? You are in position to make sure that you're sustaining that, versus trying to scramble and get ready, right? Who wants to live their life trying to scramble and get ready? Not me. Not me. And it shouldn't be you. It shouldn't be you. That's why we can't wait until April. That's why we can't wait until April to start thinking about taxes. That's why we can't wait until April to start planning for our futures. Listen, you should have already planned last year for this year. The things that I planned and put in place for 2026, I planned that last year. It was already in the works. It was already in the plan. I was planning for the first quarter. I was planning for what I'm doing in the second quarter, in the third, and the fourth. I already have this mapped out, right? So that I know what I'm doing. Oftentimes we just wake up and we don't know what we're doing. We're like, okay, I guess I'll go. I have these client appointments, and I guess I'll do some documentation. I guess I, like, no. I don't know about you, but I've been using Motion lately. It's called, or the website, let me look at it. The website is usemotion.com. And I've been using this so that it can keep me accountable to my schedule. Okay, it's called usemotion.com. And what this does is that it syncs up with I have it synced up with my business calendar. I even have it synced up with my personal calendar, because sometimes, maybe you have appointments, personal appointments during the workday, or something comes up that you're tracking on your personal calendar, and you don't want that to overlap with your business. Well, when I use Motion, I have my business calendar linked up, I have my personal calendar linked up, and then any task that I have to do, like, for example, let's say I need to, file so and so tax return by tomorrow, and I need to spend 2 hours on it. I can put that task into Motion, and it's gonna, within my schedule, it's gonna figure out where to put those 2 hours, or where can it put an hour here and an hour there, so that I can meet that deadline. Listen, that's how you have structure, order, and regularity in your business. That's how you have that in your business, using systems. And so if you need something like that, go to Use Motion. And not only that, it allows you to customize your business hours. Okay, so if I have tasks, I can designate that task to be done during my business hours, which y'all know are 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then anything that I do personally, like some things I'm personally involved in that I have not shared yet, I need to have that done. And so I can allocate, okay, I want to do that during my personal time. Sometimes if I have some, if my personal time is not in alignment with how much time I have left, it will show me that, hey, you can fit this into your business schedule because you have this opening here. And this is not a promotion for motion at all. But I just feel like somebody needs to know that, in business, you can't just wake up and just be like, oh, okay, what am I doing today? Right? No, everything needs to have a plan. When you're working on your job, there's a plan, there's order on what you're doing within each hour, within each 30 minutes, within all the things. Do the same thing with your business. When I wake up in the morning, I do my prayer time and all that, get Junior ready for school, and then my based off my emotion, it says from 8 to 8:30, check your emails, check your messages. 8:30, like it does all of that. Let me stop talking about motion because they're not sponsoring my video. Okay, so again, do not wait. Okay, do not wait until April to start thinking about taxes. Right now is the perfect opportunity before it gets real cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Right now is the perfect opportunity for you to go look through your finances. Go look through, hey, this is what I spent in a month. This is what I spent in a year. This is how much I made. Am I missing anything? Did anything happen in my personal account that I'm forgetting? Maybe I had some accidents where I accidentally spent business expenses through my personal card and tracking those things, right? Another thing is when it comes to just the tax strategies themselves, like what do I want to implement to help me save money this year that I didn't do last year. You hear me all the time talking about, well, hiring your family in your business, and if that's something you want to execute on, you want to implement, then I would definitely suggest that you get with me about that, because it has to be implemented the right way. It has to be implemented the right way. On Thursday, we're gonna do our Talk to Me Thursday, and I am going to go ahead and share a story with y'all as to why it's so important, y'all. It's so important to have all of your things in a row, because you just never know who's gonna ask you for your information, and you have to provide it to them. I'm gonna talk to y'all about that on Talk to Me Thursday. So come back to Thursday. But yes, don't wait, right? And so, what I want to offer to you all is that, the opportunity to work with me as it is the tax season. If you've been following me long enough, then you know I'm not just talking about taxes from January to April. I'm talking about it in May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, right? I'm year-round company. This is what I do year-round, educating you about taxes, talk to you about taxes, tax strategies, managing your money, managing your finances, so you know what's coming in and what's going out, and what to do with the net profit, right? What to do with the net profit so that you're not in the hole with the IRS, right? So that you don't bankrupt your business, right? All of those things. I'm talking to you about that year round. Year round. And so one of the good things that I'm actually doing this year that I haven't done before, because typically what happens is when you're a business owner and you file your taxes with me, you get a free strategy appointment that you can use during the year, right? And so I still have that for people who are, if you're my VIP tax client or if you're my early access tax client, you have access to that still. But for those of you who are new to me, if you're newly going to sign up for me, I am actually going to do two, not one, but two group Q&A sessions for you to come in and get the tax knowledge, the business knowledge, the finance knowledge that you need. So you can we're going to do that in June. We're going to do that in December. I already have the dates. Let me tell y'all the dates. And listen, this is free. This is included as a bonus to you filing your tax return with us. So June 10th, and these are, late evening appointments, so you can come 7 p.m. And then December 9th, 7 p.m. Central Time. And we're going to be on. I have it scheduled for an hour, but I have it, slated to be up to 2 hours, because I want to make sure, listen, if you've been on any of my webinars, I'm going to make sure that you get your answers, your questions answered, okay? Whatever answers you need to your questions, I'm going to make sure that you get them, and I won't leave or end the Zoom until we do. So that's something I'm adding as a bonus. Oh my gosh, I'm super excited about it. Like I said, it's already on the calendar. And so if you sign up as a new client of mine, you automatically get that. You automatically get that access. You're gonna get the Zoom links automatically. Okay. So if you are interested in working with me, you don't want to wait until April. You're like, Chastity, I got some bookkeeping needs going on. I really don't. I love that you put that, finance tracker in the comments. Thank you, girl. But I really need to be in the bookkeeping software. I like I'm trying to expand and grow my business in 2026, and I can't be restricted. I can't put limitations on myself. I gotta go all in. And we do have a few spots available for us to get your whole 2025 year put into a bookkeeping software, cleaned up, reconciled. Reconcile is making sure that all the transactions line up with what happened in the bank account. Listen, making sure you're good to go. That's what I like to say. Making sure that you're good to go. The tax return is only as good as the business finances. So with the business finances, if it's lacking, guess what? We're going to be lacking something on the tax return. So I always tell people, you want to make sure that your business finances are organized. That is the first step. And oftentimes we look at that as the last step, but it's really our first step. Okay. So if you are interested in working with me, I'm going to put in the comments the link directly to my tax service page. And so I also have in the comments the link to an informational session. So if you want to see the back end, if you want to, get on the Zoom with me to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about before moving forward, I do have that as an option. We'll be doing Zooms every 2 weeks. So we just did one last week. The next one is next Wednesday, February the 4th at 6:30 p.m. And then we'll have those 2 weeks, 2 weeks each, every 2 weeks after that, sorry, up until April the 1st. And so those are free to come in. I also have one-on-one appointments for you to schedule with me. However, those do come with a small investment. So that's why I do the free appointments or free informational sessions so that you can get in with me and, hear what others have to say, kind of get to know who's a part of Grady Tax Plus. But what I was saying was that if you are someone, I guess I'd go ahead and give you my benediction as this is in relation to that. But before I do that, let me tell y'all this other thing. Because listen, we got different things going on, but this is actually really like almost the last day that you can sign up. Really, this is like the last day that you can sign up in order to attend the small business taxes training. Understanding small business taxes training. This is like the last day because tomorrow we're going to meet. And that's a 2 hour training for you to understand how taxes work, how it works as a business owner, all of the things, right? And so I don't want you to miss out on it. Next week, not next week. Next week we're doing an informational session, but tomorrow, listen, we're on, and I don't know when I'm gonna do it again. I actually let me take that back because I was speaking with someone yesterday, and I'm going to be joining a partnership with someone's community where I'll be delivering it to their community, and you'll have to join their community in order to get the information. And that would be great, but you can also just join tomorrow for free. You can just join tomorrow for free. It's a 2 hour training, understanding small business taxes. We're going to do a deep dive into business structure, understanding, should you get an LLC? Should you get a PLLC? What's an S Corp? How does that work? Maybe even a C Corp. How does that work? So we're going to talk about estimated tax payments, who should pay, why to pay, how much to pay. We're going to talk about budgeting. I know I said the B word, budgeting. We have to have this conversation about budgeting. I'm going to keep bringing it up every time I go live, budgeting, 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 because this will make or break your business. This will set you apart from businesses who are just kind of doing this on the side or just doing this for extra income. This is what's going to set you up for success so that you can actually maintain the financial success that you're going to have this year, looking at budgeting. And not just the business budgeting, I'm talking about personal. So we're going to look at your personal budget. How much does it cost you to live in a month so that we know how much of that is going to come from the business, right? And then what else? We're also going to look at finances, managing your money, right? We talked about that. And then Q&A. We're going to end it with you getting any clarifying questions answered, or whatever questions you may have, you're getting that answered. And so that's 2 hour training, understanding small business taxes, January the 28th. Let me actually edit that so you can see the date. It's January 28th, so next Wednesday from 6:30 to 7:30 Central Standard Time. Okay, so I updated that so you can kind of see that right away in the comments. Okay, so let me go ahead and give you my benediction. So if you've been watching my lives, then you know that I'm a follower of Jesus. I'm a believer, and the scripture I want to leave you with is John chapter 10. Okay, John chapter 10, the Jews, they were questioning and they were like, listen, how long you going to keep our soul in suspense? If you are the Christ, then tell us. And Jesus said, I told you, but you did not believe me. The works that I do, they testify concerning who I am, but you do not believe me because you are not my sheep. My sheep, they hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And I will give them eternal life, and they shall by no means perish, and no one shall snatch them from my hand. The Father gave them to me, and nobody shall snatch them out of my Father's hand. I and the Father are one. The reason why I'm giving you that benediction, number one, because um, I've been in position. I've been positioned rather to make sure that anything I do, that I'm not like casually bringing up what I believe in. I'm not casually doing it, but that I am being bold and actually standing in what I believe in. So that's number one. And so what comes with that is that people who are supposed to work with me, they will understand what I'm saying to them. You will understand. You will be able to hear my voice, is what I was reading from the scripture. You'll be able to hear my voice, and if you hear my voice, then you'll follow me. You'll join in. But if you don't hear my voice, then you just don't hear my voice. You'll go to somebody who you're meant for, and that's okay, right? Everybody, it's not for everybody, right? And I want to work with people who know that I am for them and I am for you, right? So in the comments, I put the link to my tax services package. That is for you to decide what tax package is right for you. If you're a business owner, if you're an S corp, if you're a partnership, you got to talk to me directly, because I don't just take anybody who's a partnership. um, if you don't have a business, that's on there too. And the reason why I have that, because first of all, I offer price transparency. I'm trying to swallow my spit because I'm thirsty, and talk to y'all at the same time. But I offer price transparency, which means that everything, that whatever I charge for anything, you're gonna see it on the website. The price is the price. That's what it is. And the reason why I do that, because I don't like, listen, I don't like looking on people's websites. I'm like, well, how much is that? Well, how much is that? Oh my gosh, I gotta email them. Oh my gosh, I gotta have an appointment with them to find out. I don't have time for all of that. Like, the price is what it is. It's on the website. But I put my website directly in the comments for those packages, because if you are someone who hears my voice and you know that I'm supposed to help you in this season of your life, then follow me, okay? Stay connected with me. Sign up for the informational session if you want to hear more about what we offer at Grady Tax Plus. Schedule a one-on-one appointment. But if you're like, I don't need to do none of that, I already know, Chastity, I already know that you're my girl, that you're the one, then go ahead and book your tax package, okay? Once you make your deposit, my assistant, Kennedy, she's going to get you inside of your client portal, and inside your client portal, that's where we will communicate. That's where it's more intimate. We'll have, conversations there. You upload your documents, sign forms for us, and we'll meet on Zoom, unless you elected to do a recording. We will meet on Zoom, and I'll go line by line of your tax return. That's what I actually pride myself in, being able to go line by line, explaining to you what we put on your tax return. Most people don't do that. And so I go line by line explaining to you, hey, this is what you gave me. This is the deductions that you qualify for. We didn't include that because X, Y, Z. Listen, we go line by line through the tax returns so that you can understand. That's why I do all the trainings and all the things that I do, even going live to you today, so that you can have the knowledge, right? You cannot rely on other people. You cannot even rely on me to be the person to give you everything that you need. At some point, you're going to have to get it for yourself. At some point, you're going to have to need to understand it for yourself. And so that's why I give you the education. That's why I give you the tools and resources, right? So that you can understand how this stuff works, right? So that you're not blindsided. That's one of the things I hear often when people come to me from other people. They always say, well, I didn't know, I just let them, file my taxes. I just let them do the bookkeeping and I didn't know what they did. Listen, that's not an excuse. If the IRS were to audit you and you told them, well, I don't know what they put on the tax return. I don't know. That's their job. Listen, you just gave the IRS you just gave them free game to just do whatever they want within the limits of the law. You just gave them free game to do so because you said you don't know. If you left it up to whoever else. Listen, that's not how you do things. You want to go into, if you were to be audited from the IRS, you want to make sure you go in there with your documents, your paperwork, whatever you have, whatever they're asking you for, that you're able to deliver it. You're able to deliver it without being stressed, without trying to conjure up some stuff, trying to figure out things, right? That's why I said we can't wait until April. That's what this whole live was about. That's why we can't wait until April to get our stuff together. You should have spent in 2025 doing it. Okay, you didn't. 2025 is over. So guess what? Do it now. Do it now. You got a couple months before April gets here. You got about two. If you count out January, you got 2.5 months because we got February, March, and then half of April for April 15th. You got 2.5 months. And that listen, the 2.5 months, that may sound like a lot of time, but it's gonna fly by. You're literally going to blink and you're gonna be like, what in the world just happened? And then you're gonna lose out on money because I just told you when you wait till April, it's costing you money. So don't let that be your portion. Don't let that be your story, right? Do what you're supposed to do. Don't procrastinate, right? Don't procrastinate. Start now. If you need to get a mileage log, let me drop a free mileage log for y'all. Because the reason why I'm gonna do this is because many of you, you're not including the things that you're actually doing on with your taxes. I told you. You can't wait till the last minute. Okay, so I'm gonna put a free mileage law. So this is like one of the missed deductions that I see all the time. Mileage, right? You can save a couple $1,000s in taxes just by including the mileage. The places that you've gone for business, networking dinners, conferences, going to Office Depot, Walmart to buy stuff for your business, all of that, all the places that you've gone. Listen, let's not give the IRS more than they deserve, right? Let's not put more into another taxpayer's hand. Let's not do that. Let's keep the money that we made. Let's keep as much of it as possible out of the IRS hands. All right, so that was today's Tax Therapy Tuesday. We will be doing well, I was just thinking about this. We're supposed to do our Wellness Wednesday live. However, I'm also going live with Erica Lane. We're going to be talking about the 10th annual Ultimate Entrepreneurship Seminar. It's going to be a celebration of 10 years for the founder, Charmaine Stevens. And not only that, at this seminar, it's a 3-day seminar. There's going to be masterminds on day one. There's going to be an awards ball and gala, as well as the day of the event on Saturday. And so we're going to be going live talking about that on tomorrow. There's different ways that you can get connected. You can get your business in the room. I've been a part of it. This will be my 5th year. I've been a vendor for 5. This will be my 5th year as well as being a vendor. And listen, there's going to be the people who you need in the room. They're going to be there. Charmaine, she actually went live in the Ambassador Elite Inner Circle group, and I'll link that in the comments for y'all. And listen, the vendor spots, there's not going to be very many. And I had mentioned today, we actually need mental health. I don't think there's been a mental, at least at the 5 that I've been at, or the 4 that I've been at, I don't think we've had a mental health vendor. And we need a mental health vendor. So if you are a social worker therapist in business and you want to highlight your business in front of not only just people in the United States, but people from other countries who may be coming to the seminar, then I need you to listen. Let me just go ahead and put the link to her website in here. Let me just go ahead and put the link in here so you can take a look and see if what is going on with the seminar, if it's something that it's in alignment with you. Okay, let me so 10th annual ultimate, actually let me link this. I'm gonna put this in the comments for you to take a look at the website, take a look at the vendor opportunities that are available. There we go. Okay, so I put that in the comments for y'all. And then, yeah, so let me go ahead and end the live. I hope y'all enjoyed this live. I hope you take something with you that I've said. I hope this live blesses you. Again, don't wait till April to start thinking about taxes. The time is now. The time is now. That way, when April gets here, you can be somewhere rubbing your feet together, or you're truly focusing on 2026. And I mentioned that before as well. If you want to officially close out the prior years, you got to get those tax returns filed. The longer those tax returns are not filed, the longer that you are going to continue to drag on and think about those things from the past. Listen, let the past be the past. We're in 2026 now. Let's focus on what we want to do for 2026. All right, so I hope this live again blesses you, and I will see you on Wednesday.